Epoxy mixing procedure is like this. I'm using Pro Coat High Build. High Build because if you are using like this double wraps, then the epoxy needs to soak inside, and also the height of the epoxy is more, so it's called high build. Whereas if it's only a single wrap, there's no wrapping at the bottom, and you're using very thin thread, then you can use thinner epoxy. But this is meant for high build, where it's for heavy duty rods. We use this kind of epoxy. The epoxy is like a two-part epoxy. One is resin and the other is hardener. And you have to use equal quantity. You need to stir this up for at least about 1.5 to 2 minutes. First, when you start stirring it, you'll find like a marbly kind of texture to it. Then after that, slowly it will clear, and then you will find that the bubbles, little bubbles which are inside, they will burst. It's important to get rid of the bubbles, because if you don't, you will see that they form a kind of bubbles all over the place. Then you will need to use a heat source to burst the bubbles. If you don't burst the bubbles, what will happen? You will get holes in the epoxy, and you don't want that to happen. I'm first taking the resin, and for a guide this size, I know I would need about 10 drops of resin, 10 drops of hardener. That would be enough. Now I start measuring out 10 drops. Because the hardener is a lot thinner than the epoxy, so you have to be careful. Now you've got about 10 minutes within which to get this stuff on the rod, so you quickly take a spoon or spatula, you can use even a piece of plastic or anything, and you can see now it's turned a bit marbly. Now when I mix it for a little while, you see the texture, it becomes clear. I think it's okay today, and you can see there's no bubbles right now, it's pretty clear. And it's ready for. I just take an ordinary paintbrush thing like this. It has to be clean. You have to be very careful that there are no contaminants on the brush or in the the little. I'm using just a paper cup. You could use a plastic cup or anything. Everything has to be really clean. Place sufficient quantities of epoxy inside between the guide and these little gaps here, and the epoxy has to soak in. It has to soak into the threads and go down to the blind. Only then will it hold properly. So you put fairly liberal quantities of. If you need more epoxy, you can always make some more, but I don't see the point wasting too much epoxy in one go. Sometimes you don't need it because you're using the same machine as a dryer, and then that means that the epoxy just gets wasted. So if I need more, I can always make it. I use this for the first coat, and then after the machine runs for a little while, I put a second coat on the machine. Change the belt. One motor on this machine is meant for wrapping, that's a bigger motor, and the smaller one is for drying. Just spread it over evenly and let gravity do the work of carrying it all around the rod. What I like to do now is, at this stage, is to make two border lines beyond which I won't apply any epoxy. So once you made that line, then you can shift the epoxy from this side to Don't use any heat unless you really need to on this, because when you apply heat on it, the epoxy gets burnt and it turns into white color, and you don't want that to happen, because then your entire job is gone. Now that's the first coat. I'm going to prepare a little more epoxy now for the second coat. again mix the epoxy properly. The place which needs the most epoxy is the part which, where the guides come in contact with the wrapping, this portion and this portion. So that needs the most epoxy because that's where the heaviest load comes on when you're playing a fish. If you need to use heat to burst the bubbles, there aren't any bubbles on this right now, but if you do raise, you can use a lighter or you can use a butane or a flame, whatever you like, but don't put the flame directly on the epoxy. Use it like this. You can see that's it. That's all you need to do. What will happen now is with that little bit of heat, the epoxy will start moving by itself and spread itself nice and evenly. If you look closely at it, you can see now that there's a nice sheen to it and there's absolutely no bubbles. Thank you.